Well, hello everyone and welcome to my hobby home. My name is Cathy. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am completing a project that I had started last week maybe. This is the Creative Notions June 2024 Make It Mini. I'm pulling my boxes and working some of the projects out of them. All I am doing on this is just a basic stitch in the ditch quilt on it. I had a spare fat quarter that I'm using. I'm just going to get it on here now. I did have fabric for the binding. That was part of what I had left over from working the project. So I am just going to go on and get this started here. Now, like I said, I am doing the stitch in the ditch. It may stitch in the ditch, it may not, but we are going to try to be as close as we possibly can. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day today. I'm just coming on, giving y'all a real quick little video here. Just finishing a project up. This is not the finish that I want for this week. It may be the finish, but I hope to have a quilt bound also. Okay, now I'm not even going to cut that thread. I'm just going to run at 1/8 of an inch. Stitch around to my next point where I'm stitching in the ditch. And then I'm going to just go up it. I did need something simple today because I did end up going back to the doctor. And I did end up having bronchitis. So that's what's going on with me right now. I got different meds. So hopefully I will be on the mend. I am going to try to go to work tomorrow. Or rather, when y'all see this, I tried going to work today. I don't know how that's going to turn out, because I am up most of the night coughing right now. Okay, I have finished going that direction. So I am pulling the thread there. And I am just going to my next side where I'm stitching in the ditch. Just lowering my lever there. My foot. Whoops. And I just broke my thread. Okay, we're going to try this again. We're doing a slow stitch in the ditch. When y'all see this, it will be Thursday. So my weekend will have started already when y'all see this. I am hoping I am well enough to be at the zoo with my grandbabies. We shall see. My doctor thinks that this is just really more a flare-up of my asthma, because they are cutting and burning the fields around here. So she's giving me a different asthma medicine, thinking maybe it'll calm it down. I hope it does, because I tell you what, this is awful. I can't breathe, because she asked me today, what is your main concern? I'm like, I can't breathe. I want to be able to breathe. But they did do a chest x-ray and did find that it is not pneumonia. That's our one scare, is always pneumonia, because it seems like when I get something like this, it goes to pneumonia. I think I'm going to do something a little different in the center. No, I'm not going to do anything different for that. I don't know. I may do something different for that center square. It needs some kind of design element to it. It's just plain. I was thinking about, I do need to sew all the way around this thing though. That way it'll be easier to bind. I've got kitty cats in here trying to get my attention. I'm just doing a stitch around the edge of the piece, so it does stitch down and hold that all down, so I can bind it a lot easier. And this is going to be one of the little things that I can hang on my racks, my little mini quilt racks. I have one in my living room right now that has my scarecrow on it. We should be getting another box. What's today? The 23rd? Next week sometime. From Creative Notion. Because their box comes out the end of the month. Probably around like the 28th. That may be when it ships. And we get it like the beginning of the next month. But I think most of the time we get it like right at the end of the month. Trying to see how close to that edge I can get. For this to be just a little, a small hanger thing, I'm probably not going to do too much detail on it. Let's see how far. Okay. I was checking to see how far I had left to go. When I get this done, I will trim it up and bind it. And yes, I will do it all right now. This is one of those things that I can complete all the way right here with you, just because at the time I did the top, I did not have any backing. I didn't know what I was going to use. Okay, in our binding, it called for a smaller binding than what I normally work with. I have to move things out of the way so I can use my cutting table. Okay, and now that I'm quilted all the way around, I can take my pins out. I just use the curved quilting pins. You can't see those, so. But it's the curved quilting pin, like a safety pin. Getting all of these pins out. I do need to read the directions, though, because how they have me putting the hangers on is a way I don't know that I've ever put them on like that. So I need to read the instructions on the hangers. Well, I guess I need to read the instructions all the way. Okay, I have our instructions right here. Okay, so we're just sewing the tabs as we sew the binding. Now, I will need to sew my tabs. I will need to stitch the ends and all that. So, what I am doing here is trimming my quilt. So, what I like to do is find that stitch line, because I did that at 1/8 of an inch. I cut that at 1/4 of an inch. Now, I'm going to keep this other fabric because it can go in my scrap box for something else. So, once again, I'm finding that stitch line, and I'm trimming it at 1/4 of an inch. And these little strips, I don't know what this is. It's not batting. It feels like fleece. It's real thin. It's not a real thick. It don't feel like batting. But it was in my scrap pile. It was soft. It was white. I'm using it. Okay, so now we've got that. So now we are on our last side here. Now there is a piece big enough right here. Oh, I just about cut my hand because I didn't close it. I don't need the little ears right here because that's not going to do anything. This size may. Yeah, I'm having trouble with my Martelli. I don't know. I had to clean it. And ever since then, I don't know if I didn't get it back together or got it back too tight. But this, I have a bag over here with scraps in it that I will keep. And let me just cut these strips off. But these strips can go in there. See, it's real stiff. It's hard to flip that. Okay, so now what we are going to do, I have my binds or whatever these are. It said put them like 1 1/4 inch inside the outer edge. So we're just guesstimating where those go. They'll be fine as long as they're on there. Okay, so now what I have to do is put my bind on. When I have these Make It Minis, I like to start mine at the bottom. I like to start right at the center. Now I am marking where I need to stop. This is my start point. This is my stop so I can go around. I do not pin my whole bind on. I don't even know if I needed this amount of binding either. So, but I am going to, let me go up just a little bit more. I'm hoping this works on this. This is where I normally do it if I have a 2.5 inch strip and it matches up perfectly. I think this may be a 2 1/4. But you know what? If it don't, oh well, it's okay. So what I'm doing is going right up to that pin. I'm pulling that pin out. And I'm sorry I do not have a setup where I can turn you down on my machine. But what I do is I turn it to where I can sew at a diagonal and sew off of the machine. Now, I know I've seen recently someone doesn't do that. They actually don't cut their thread. I do it just because it's easier for me to do it that way. And what I do is I just come here. I find where that fabric comes because I don't want to sew that fabric in. So technically I'm trying to get the width so I don't stitch it down. Now I am going to also come back down to this other end and I'm going to put a pin in at that 1/4 inch because that's where I'm going to sew off the edge of the machine, off the edge of the fabric. Now my miters, I have not been a good I'm not a good mitered person. A mitered corner. Sometimes they are good, sometimes they're not. I don't stress over it. So I need to straighten this out again. Put that pin back in there. I got to make sure I'm on that 1/4 inch. And I know someone's going to ask, well, if you're doing larger than a 1/4 inch, why are you stopping at the 1/4 inch? It's just a good guide for me. It's just, you know, a good guide. Okay, so now I'm mitering that edge there. I'm folding it where it will miter. And we're going to get this back under here. Now this is where we're going to be sewing the hangers in that I have pinned in. So I have to be careful not to hit that pin. I'm making sure all my edges stay even. Get into that next hanger. Okay, now we are on our last side. Now I know at the bottom I do need to still connect. Oh yeah, I'm going to have way more than I needed. And that is perfectly fine to do that, to have more than you need. It's better to have more than you need than not as much as you need. Okay, now I'm going to put my pin in here where I know I need to stop. See, I have way more than I need on binding. But that's okay. I can use that for something else. Okay, now since this is where I started, right here in the center, I'm only going to do my mitered edge here and sew just right down that binding until I get off the edge of the binding. And I know that did not make sense what I just said, but I'll explain it here in a second. Okay, let me show you what I'm talking about now. This is the edge of my binding right here, and I only sew just right past that because I need to connect these two pieces now. So to do this, what I will do is I will try to find the center between the two. I will fold back my fabric here, and then I will come, and they're not going to touch. My two pieces of binding are not going to touch. They're going to have about 1/8 of an inch between the two of them. Now, what I will do here is I'm going to put it over here on my ironing board, and I'm going to press. Now that I have pressed, I know I don't need all of this. So what I am going to do, I actually have a joint right here. I'm just cutting it right at that joint and getting that out of my way. Now that I have that pressed, I can open this up, and I have a T pressed into my binding. Now, to do this, you need to take that opening, and I know you can't really tell what I'm doing, but I take this opening right here, and I fold it in half. And I get a clip, and I put right on it to hold those two together. So that way, my fabric is not stretched. So we know we have to put right sides together. So what we do is we take these two pieces and we match up the center of the X. Because what we have to do is make sure we have this fabric lined up. Okay, let's see if we can get this done now. So before we do any cutting, we're going to take our pins out and make sure that it fits properly. So you see that there, it's flat, it fits perfect. So what I am going to do is trim off, and yes, I'm going to use my little trim tool. But my fingers are out of the way. Okay, so now what we are going to do, sometimes you don't have to press that seam open. I'm not going to. I think I'm just going to sew it down and we'll be good. Let me make sure it's going the correct direction to sew it down so we don't have all the extra there. And like I was saying before, I hope this is not my finish for the week. I do hope to be getting a quilt bound this week. I am just about out of time. Well, it looks like that might have been a little bit big, but it pinched up there in the back. So, okay, so I am done with that. So now what I have to do is flip it. And, oh, it may be too little. We will see. Nah, maybe not. It's going to be a tight one there. But going on and putting a clip on it. And when I get to my corner, I look at how the direction was on the back. And I do it the opposite direction. Because that way there won't be bulk. I need this over here. I'm right-handed. That makes it all difficult if I don't have it the correct direction. So what I do is I clip down this side before I do this, because I want to be able to pull this side over. And I'm using my seam ripper to help miter that corner, get it tight. And I put a clamp on that corner, and then I put another clamp just right past that corner. So I think what I'm going to do is start on this side so I can do that first corner there. And yes, when I do binding, I do like to clip a lot of it. You don't have to. If you're good, if you have the skill and you don't have to, then don't. I just don't have that skill. Okay, I am going to put a clip back here behind where my presser foot is going to go, so everything is even. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to do 1/8 of an inch. Now I do have the ability with my foot to stitch very, very close, because I have the foot I have will do that for me actually. Okay, I'm getting to my first clip there, and I'm holding everything in place because we want that to definitely cover that stitch line that we had, and it is. It's covering it. So what I do now is I turn and I lay my foot down, and I make sure I am on the 1/8 mark. Now see, I don't necessarily have to do it all, you know, clip my bind all the way down, but the corners I do clip. I like to clamp my corners just to make sure they're stable. And while I'm here, I can go on and do my corner here. I press that in. Let's see what direction we're going at. Okay, it looks like I needed to go this direction. But we're going to go on and get this pulled over and get closer to that corner. Well, these corners are going to give me troubles tonight. I think it's because the binding is smaller than what I'm used to doing. I'm used to doing a full 2.5 inch, and I think this binding is at 2 1/4. I think. I'm not real sure. Don't hold me to that. I could be having a brain moment right now because it's still a bit cloudy. Okay, now we are on the side that has our hangers. We have to make sure not to sew our hangers up in this. This is definitely a tight binding. Now we are just about done. We are turning our last corner here. So what I'm doing is just laying all the binding flat. Alrighty. Yay! I've got it done, guys. Look at this. Here's my back. These are my hangers. I don't know. I may whip stitch these down so they don't flap up when I'm hanging it. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. But guys, that's it. It is completed. So I have the June 2024 Creative Notions Make It Mini completed. So guys, if you've not yet, please give me a thumbs up. It does help my channel grow. Please leave a comment. Tell me what you think. I do try to respond to each and every comment personally. And as always, until I see you again, I hope you have a very blessed day. Goodbye.